Kia ora everyone, I've been on the hype train for Superman since the Legacy title announcement, and because LEGO opted to not produce any sets for us this year, for some weird reason, I'm left having to look at some of the previous Superman movie based LEGO releases. So this here is set 76046, Heroes of Justice Sky High Battle, which released under the LEGO Batman v Superman Dawn of Justice banner in 2016. You got 517 pieces there in total with this set, 5 minifigures, and 3 of them were exclusive, but hardly, we'll cover that at the end. This here retailed back in the day for $60 USD before tax. Here in NZ, it was priced at $120 NZD, which I think was pretty standard for this kind of caliber of set. Today in the aftermarket space, this set is currently valued at basically the high 70s for a sealed condition or the low 70s for a second-hand condition. And the set here gave us 2 vehicles, one for the heroes and one for the villains, and it kind of acted like a non-spoilery third act set from one of the more divisive superhero movies released in the last decade. I'm feeling like taking a villain approach here to this video, and I'm going to start with the villain chopper. The bright green colored vehicle there looks right at home for my LEGO DC display for all of my comics based sets, so the issue I have here is that it is supposed to be based on the movies specifically. It's not a big deal to most normal headed people and it shouldn't really matter. Personally though, I love these types of builds and color schemes when the figures are comics based. For the movie based sets, I want to have builds that are based on the accurate designs from the movie that couldn't otherwise be released. So if I can complain for just a brief moment then, it's disappointing that we didn't see a Kryptonian ship with a Doomsday big fig or something to resemble a more spoilery third act instead. So I feel torn between being frustrated at the ridiculous exaggeration release here for feeling a bit too out of place for this kind of a movie, but at the same time I do love the campy comic-like style here that feels perfect for my comics releases. As far as that copter build goes, it feels like one of the sleekest models I've built in a while. It felt great putting this thing together, and I think part of the appeal here is the color scheme of course. We use some wing pieces there for the walls of the copter, and the set here uses a canopy piece that was only ever used in one other Speed Champion set. You've got some stickers of the Lexcorp logos here on the sides. I don't believe we see green helicopters with this logo in the movie, but the logo is shown occasionally throughout the world building. We have an insane amount of missiles here at the ready. There are 4 on each side, with 2 of them having orange studs, a grand total of 8 missiles. Feeling like a kill streak in Call of Duty, you're able to rain down on Batman's parade with this move right here, and of course by doing so I am now missing a missile. That's about all I have to say about Lex's little copter there, because the more appealing model is of course the build for the Batwing. This was a big deal for me as it was my first Batwing model in a LEGO period, still is actually, so I'm hoping that they make a more comic-like version again later. This vehicle is a fascinating design in movie compared to some previous ones that we've seen in the past. I've seen better Batwings in media and I've seen worse Batwings in media. I have to say I think that this matches the source material really well. It matches the curves there, it basically has the base body down to a point. I think the colors work really well, and we've even got the same silhouette details like the engines and the back fin like wing designs. In hand too, it's a really interesting release. It's far different from previous Batman LEGO sets. It's big and bulky sure, but you want something like this to be the accurate size that it is. One of the more interesting aspects here is that floating front section. It's not connected to the side wings in order for that play feature to work. These things need to be separate then, so LEGO have connected this with some translucent poles underneath. A very cool design technique with some reinforced bricks there holding everything in place. For that cockpit section, the set here uses the really cool Batmobile doors that were made just for this line. They're released in a couple of other Snyder releases for Batman, but you can see the Batmobile is using the exact same pieces. I thought they were really cool inclusions. As for opening them to reach inside, a little tricky I must say. They're very well connected there, and when it released there was a little bit of stress there on the bricks, but they seem to work just fine now. Inside you've got a very cool color splash of blue. I can't recall if that actually matches the movie or not, but I appreciate the difference in tone here. They open individually. This here is the piece on its own. It's connected into a Technic slot, and Batman fits inside with his cape still on, his feet just sliding into a brick there, and you've got some stickers for the main controls. For some weapons, Batman here has a Gatling gun at the front of the ship. In the movie that is a hidden weapon, a misplay feature opportunity there, but you spin that wheel and the studs will all fire out. Back engine here shows some nice color shift as well, colored in blue but translucent, and this here is where the silhouette style takes place, lots of the Snyder sharp points and edges. These back wings are placed on hinges for that style design, not intended to necessarily be moved around. These back wings though are placed on ball joints and you can move these ones around. The set does want you to keep them in this placement though for that play feature purpose, just makes things a bit easier for you later on. So speaking of, the back of the Batwing here does have this almost like a lever at the bottom. You can use that as a handle, but moving it will push those wings together. And so now you have this folded up design, which is really cool, and it makes it one of the more unique Batman vehicles that I've personally built in LEGO. I really don't remember when the vehicle does this in the movie, or if it even does this in the movie, but it does make for a fun feature that I don't think has been replicated in any other release. It's a little finicky though, it definitely needs two hands, but it reminds me of the Star Wars sets. They're also featuring handles that are built into their models. There's just something about that I really like. It's very cool. You can see the top wings there are able to just rest atop each other. It's very neat how it works out that way, but that's also why the set wants you to keep those wings in that position. And also for storage reasons, this takes up less room than when the wings have been displayed out and the build is just flat. It's like a book nook type display. It squeezes into my displays very easily. Two vehicles, pretty strange for their depictions, but interesting releases and satisfying builds. I've got conflicted feelings both here and there with the set, which is pretty thematic to how I think people felt with these movies really. The minifigures were the main selling point of the set for the time. Here you get all three main heroes and really the best variants of themselves too, plus the additions of two of the most important characters that weren't superheroes in the movie with Lois and Lex, both exclusive to the set. And because I'm doing this for Superman excitement, we start here with the Man of Steel himself. It's actually the second time that LEGO were making Henry Cavill based Superman figures, and it's amazingly ironic that they went with this face print for this depiction of this character. A perfect look for Superman, but it could not be further from what we see Cavill doing throughout the entire runtime of all of these movies. Superman here only appeared in 2 of the 3 sets for his movie. The smaller set there featured a similar figure, but the boots are missing for the details. Yeah, for some reason they made one with boots and one without boots. It's nice to have the boots variant here, and that's ultimately what makes them exclusive to the set. This was the decade they began doing the soft goods cape, which I've always really loved. We do have some back printing there that just shows a little bit of extra torso detailing, a double-sided expression that's a bit more in line with what Snyder and Cavill were going for, though this expression was used in comics-based Superman sets 1 year before these sets released. A very quick comparison between the Man of Steel and Batman v Superman variant of Superman, the torso printing there changes quite a bit. It's the silver that made that torso print for the Man of Steel version unique, though the costume in the movies doesn't really seem to feature a silver pattern like we see here, so a natural change if you ask me. Henry Cavill is still to this day the only actor to have a LEGO figure based on their live action portrayal of Superman, a fact that I am very surprised to learn, but at the same time, LEGO did stop making Superman sets for years, so I guess it makes sense. It must not see a lot of money in this guy. Value-wise, he is one of the more sought after from these sets, valued between $11 to $20 NZD in the aftermarket space. Seems to be the highest valued Superman variant minifig from these 3 Snyder movie releases as well. And then here we have Batman. This was the character that received all the marketing and toys and celebrations. I get it, his name is what appears first in the title, but there did seem to be a clear bias towards one of these 2 heroes. And then DC went and repeated this again with the Flash movie, having too heavy of an emphasis on Batman, who's the side character, once more. I digress. I have very strong and annoying opinions on LEGO Batman minifigures, a character that I believe LEGO have gotten wrong more times than they've gotten right. As far as live action minifigure goes, these Ben Affleck ones though are probably some of the better releases I've seen. I still have some issues here, but Jesus, compared to what we have nowadays, these new releases are awful. He uses a brand new torso design, as the other movie figures often do, released all throughout the Snyderverse sets there. He is though using a comics-based head, which was always a big no from me. This head is not intended for Ben Affleck's likeness, and that does bother me a little bit. The cowl there is something that was slightly different, again though released in 2015 comics-based sets, so the head and cowl are in no way meant to resemble Ben Affleck as they released before this set did. It's a pretty close pick though, the cowl does fit the design from these movies, but it's hard for me to love it when the iconic parts are reused from a different iteration. So a good use of parts, but they're not original. A double-sided expression, we can see the looks of anger and just intense focus maybe. Removing those parts there shows us the details underneath, and I love the torso stuff, really great prints there that are immediately recognizable to be from these movies. The head is also of course using the white stripe underneath, which I've never really liked for any of the actor Batman depictions. We should be seeing their eyes under the cowl, save the white stripe for the comics releases only. His value appears to be on the lower end of things. It's between $7 to $12 NZD right now in the aftermarket space. And then next up here is Wonder Woman. It was insane to have her included in the movie and the toys like this. She only appears in the last maybe 20 minutes during the big fight, but also having minifigures of DC's Trinity in one release is amazing, and only a handful of sets ever released with these 3 in one fell swoop too. I think Wonder Woman is easily the best minifigure here, though I disagree with the movie's choice of the design. LEGO here have made a very accurate figure based on what they were given, sort of. In the movie, the colors of the costume are a lot darker and hard to see. The reds almost to look brown. This figure here does still keep to a dark blue and burgundy color scheme, but the color brightness has been increased a little bit, so it still looks like classic Wonder Woman colors, a change that I am all for. The exact figure did release in the Justice League sets as well, but because the costume is brighter in the solo Wonder Woman movie, they reused this figure again and they actually made the colors even better, just like the designers did for the movie. This Wonder Woman here includes a shield and sword as her accessories. There is no lasso of truth, which was something that she really used in this movie anyway. The expression here shows anger and determination, the other side shows something a bit more caring, and she features a crown that's been printed on both of her face prints. Removing that hairpiece there to show the torso printing underneath, which is entirely covered up by her hairpiece otherwise, she's currently valued the highest in the aftermarket space, between $18 to $25 NZD right now. The brighter, better figure from the solo movie is currently valued at almost $50 NZD, so that's the highest priced Gal Gadot minifig. And next up we have Lois Lane. She also appeared in one of the Man of Steel sets, and the portrayal of Amy Adams here leads to the headpiece, which I learned was actually introduced for Claire in the Jurassic World 2015 set. That's crazy to me because I just covered some Jurassic World sets. What strange timing. Lois here is actually using an exclusive torso print, which is that of a casual work-like attire, very useful for some simple customs. A camera included as her accessory, which was always my favorite inclusion for sets when I was a kid. She features a double-sided expression of a calmer look. Now that I know it's supposed to be for Bryce Dallas Howard, it makes a bit more sense to me. Lois was, like I said, featured in one Man of Steel set, and that Lois minifigure uses the same hairstyle piece, and that's where the similarities seem to end. The only two Lois Lane figures that LEGO have ever made, and they're both on Amy Adams. Think on that for a second. The figure on the left there is using an exclusive face print that looks worse to me than the BVS figure. I love the torso there though for that first one. A grey work shirt and white sleeves is a more useful design for my customs. The value on Lois there is on the lower end, between $5 to $9 NZD, and actually the same goes for the first Lois figure too. They both seem to be worth about the same amount as one another. And then we have Lex Luthor, played by Jesse Eisenberg in the movie. This figure here is also an odd one. For one thing, that face print has been used for comics figures and plenty of others as well. 40 sets in total since the year 2012. It's Loki and Bruce Wayne, and eventually it was used for comic Lex Luthor figures as well. I see zero resemblance to Jesse Eisenberg with this, so it feels like a very lame release. He does come with a hairpiece which feels accurate enough for this movie. He's wearing a tan suit, which I don't think is accurate to the movies. I wish we got something like some hipster clothes that would have been preferred there, removing the hairpiece to show no double-sided expression for Luthor, and now that he's not wearing a wig, it just looks like a really nice comic-styled figure. His value is on the low end, you probably could have guessed, between $5 to $7 right now in the aftermarket space. The instructions here come in two booklets, one small and one large. The small one there builds the helicopter with some light blue coloring on the inside, the back shows the set complete, and then we have these back advertisements. This here was the full complete wave of Batman vs Superman sets. The LEGO team released 3 in total, which I think was the highest amount that we would ever see for any of these DC movies. These sets are okay, but they all suffer the same thing that most of the movie-based sets do, a very heavy emphasis on the vehicles. It's very cool that the smaller set though was the big fight between the two heroes, that being the cheapest set I really appreciate, but it's funnily enough the only set that I don't have. We then have the website and then the winning pirate. The next booklet builds the Batwing, and then the back here shows the set all complete, and then we can also see the main features which we have already covered. We then see the inventory list and Ninjago featured in the LEGO Club side there, and that wraps up the instructions. Now every superhero set for a while featured a comic book inclusion which depicted a story that used the sets all releasing. This comic here shows the Batman vs Superman sets, and it tells a story that's not quite the events of the movie itself. The back here shows the figure roster for the movie, which consisted of 2 Superman figures, 2 Batman figures, 2 random goons, Wonder Woman, Lex Luthor, and Lois Lane. I guess I've seen worse movie minifigure rosters before, but I have seen so much better releases as well. Overall, I think I complained a few times here, but this is a very strong release that's aiming for a very specific market. I would always prefer a battle playset for the bigger set of the wave, and I would have preferred that we'd seen something that featured Doomsday, but I like the builds for these vehicles even if the style doesn't quite match the movie for the Lexcorp chopper. I think all of these feelings of what could have been is just a retrospective thing mostly because at the time, how are we to know that this was going to be the peak of the DC movie releases? We would only have a handful of sets released for 3 years after this, and then LEGO DC was just done for years, and technically it still is, it's just Batman now. I'd really hoped that this new movie would mean a big push of new products, and it seems like every single other toy line in the world got involved, except for LEGO. At this rate though, honestly, I can't say I'm surprised. If you enjoyed this look at an older LEGO DC set, liking this video here and subscribing to the channel helps to support more videos like this one in the future. Thanks for watching everyone, ka kite anō, take care, see you all next time.